As builders work to manage supply chain and labor shortage issues and other downward pressures that erode profitability, another place they can look to boost margins is the design center. I've asked Jane Meagher, the president of Success Strategies and the founder of the National Design Studio Institute, to talk about why and how to generate more revenue from a builder's design center, an option, so to speak, that builders commonly neglect or feel like they're doing a good enough job. And so, Jane, welcome. I'm glad to have you here, and I'm glad to talk about this because I think it's a really timely and important topic to discuss.
Thank you, Rich. I do too. I think it's a critically important topic for builders with the challenges that our industry is facing right now.
So, when we talked, I was bringing up the fact that builders, it's not, I don't want to say frustrating, but it's a little curious that even with the demand that they have and the production challenges that they have, that they're not looking at alternatives and ways to cut costs or be more efficient in their construction operations. And you brought up the fact that that they are, some and maybe all of them at some level, are leaving some money on the table on the revenue side in the design studio. So maybe you can kind of articulate what you mean by that and kind of what you're seeing from the builders you work with and even just the industry in general.
Well, I mean, I think when you just look at a basic business case, right, there's two ways to drive more profit. We can decrease costs or we can increase revenue and hopefully high margin revenue. And the decreasing cost is obviously, being as efficient as possible, a very important part of it. But I think a lot of times builders maybe don't give as much focus to the upside potential as possible. I think that's more important now than ever before because, we all know that, costs are unpredictable and rising. We have the basic base home prices are escalating. And at some point, what happens with that when, especially with interest rates, when base prices continue to rise and the buyers are looking at the value benefit equation for their, what we would call their initial investment, the base price of the home, it kind of builds the business case. Why wouldn't we look at ancillary ways to increase revenue on every home that we sell, particularly across large volumes? So we would call that increasing per home revenue. And I think there are a lot of untapped, possibilities for many, many, many builders in the design studio.
Okay, so let's dive into that. So the why is basically there's potential here, and so when we talk about why builders might be hesitant to look there, what kind of reasoning do they have when you run up against some barriers there? What do you say?
I think most builders will say, wow, we're doing great in the design studio. Oh my gosh, we're selling, tons of options, more options than ever before. To me, my background is like statistics and, analysis. I'm like, that's not really a strong business case. Like, just because it's great, like, why wouldn't we want it to be greater? Having higher per home revenue, especially high margin, profit coming out of the design studio, isn't just even nice to have anymore. I would argue it's like going to be a critical component of our success going forward because of these other factors that we've talked about. Downward pressure on margin from other areas and margins eroding from other areas. So I think that, builders are hesitant to look to the design studio, sometimes because they think it's good enough, or they maybe don't have the background. Maybe they came up through the construction or the land or the finance or the business side of the business, maybe haven't fully thought through the design studio and what that can contribute to the bottom line. And I think, also inherent in the premise that we can do better in the design studio is the baseline: we have been leaving money on the table. And frankly, I think that's hard for a lot of builders to be willing to admit.
So what opportunities are there when you look at a design studio? You say, okay, there's profit, maybe high margin profitability that's still there for a builder. What do you see? What are the opportunities there?
Well, I think the specific opportunities are going to be different for every builder. I think the opportunity that's the same for every builder is to be more scientific and intentional about looking for those opportunities and having an action plan in place to grab those opportunities. So, I mean, I think there's all kinds of things we can look at. One would be probably of psychological pricing strategies. You know, cost plus, we always say is it's a starting point, not an ending point. Then we have to look at, well, what happens if we increase prices a little bit, or what we would call the investment amount to the customer? If we increase it a little bit, how does that play out over volume? Or conversely, crazy to say, but maybe we actually reduce that price a little bit, that investment amount to the customer, if it means that across volume, our velocity of sales of that item is so strong that we make it up. So there, one area is pricing strategies. And I would say the key to think about with that is that for any builder, it is the aggregate revenue and profit at the end of a year across volume. That is the metric that matters, because that's the dollars that they're putting in their pocket at the end of the year. So really, you know, focusing on the aggregate across volume and the relationship of price and volume is one thing. Other things are just like, are we offering the right product? Do we have the right product at the right price? But our team is, you know, well-meaning as they are, haven't been trained in the skills to build value and to present the benefits and to help customers see why this product is worth their hard-earned dollars and how it will benefit their lifestyle for years to come and be part of a smart financial investment into their home. And to that end, I think builders have to realize that our competition for design studio dollars is not other builders. It's what else our customers can do with those dollars. You know, are they going to buy, put it into a vacation, or going out to dinner all the time, or an expensive high purchase item like an Apple Watch or something? You know, there's a lot of places where there's upside for potential.
Yeah, and that's a great point, in that they have this, the thinking, I think, when I heard you talk about this earlier, was that the builders believe that buyers are spending as much money as they possibly can on this house. I mean, we're seeing home prices go up. You know, obviously they need to make design choices. They're being, you know, if we do it right, they're getting a home that they feel is personally theirs,
Sure.
and valuable that way. But that's kind of it. Like we've run the gamut. And in fact, people do spend discretionary income on other things. And your point is just, you know, hey, make sure you're getting as much of that as possible in a way that's strategically driven, that's customer experience driven. Because that money's out there. It's just not necessarily coming to you.
I think it's a pretty easy conclusion to make, that if we had the best products at the best prices for our target market, and we had the best presentation, and we're able to convince our customers of a compelling value, I think it's very reasonable to say there are dollars that are being left on the table. Sometimes we do a good job of telling somebody why they should want a certain product, and they close on the home and go buy it from another retailer afterwards, because we haven't built a compelling case for the benefits from buying from us. So there's so many ways we can influence the actions of our customers that will result in not only higher per home revenue and profit for the builders, but in all likelihood, a customer who is more satisfied and more closely aligned and more in love with their uniquely personalized home as well.
Let's say you had you know, an elevator ride with a home builder, and you had 30 seconds to kind of, you know, make this case. What would you say?
Treat your design studio as you would any other area of your business or any business, right? It's the basic 4 Ps. Offer the right products at the right prices, in the right physical presentation, with the right people, meaning well-trained, you know, people working in that department, and the right promotion. It's your basic business case for how to have a successful business. Apply all of that to your design studio and see what happens.